And this is excerpts from a live lesson that was done. Without further ado, make sure this is recording.
Hey, Shalom, Hakim. Shalom, Shalom. Like to give our honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh. And Apostle to the apostles and the elder brothers out there scattered throughout the four corners. And basically, look on the screen. Me and the brother were talking, and he was making mention, which I've heard of this. Ford has this new technology that they patented, where this technology is in their newer vehicles. I guess I guess it's going to be, what is it, from 2026 up, or?
Yeah. Which I mean, it calls more like what they call smart technology. You know, like I'm not sure we put it in the title, but pretty much all this new technology leads to the chip. You know, at the end of the day, you know, straight up and down, like all these things we see these devils doing, like, come on, like, what else can you do to these cars, man?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Why are they keep so-called improving? Because why? Basically, they want to turn you into a machine, you know, and lock you in and connect you, but they're doing it under that convenience.
It's all about total control, because through technology, they have total control over every aspect of your life. Now, I mean, it's just one thing that they're messing with the finance. But they got this thing called the Genius Act, where they can just basically shut down your bank account, shut down all your accounts, shut down all your credit cards, any transactions that you do. They're banning physical money. So most places is not taking money no more. You better have a card when you go to places now. A lot of places, especially in airports, New York, the airport, they only take a card. They don't even take cash no more. There's stores that's in Manhattan right now that they only take a card. They don't take cash. So they're forcing everybody down that pathway of everything going cashless.
What you call that? The Genius Act?
I think it's called the Genius Act.
Oh man, I don't know if you're able to pull it up, but that's heavy, because it's true. And what they're doing now too, pretty much everybody's a slave to their phone, their smartphone. That's why people. It is studies that people fucking necks and shit's all fucked up all they do, you know. And you know, and shit, I'm sort of a victim to it too, because I'm on the phone all day. Only thing is, I'm looking at, like we use the technology for the word, for the truth, but nonetheless, now, like you said, with the not accepting cash and all that stuff, and then what they're doing now, they have a digital wallet. So now on your phone, you have all your information and everything. So now you get used to that. So now you don't carry cash on. There's people that don't carry cash on. So then when you come across a place where you need to send somebody a tip or give them some cash, you ain't got no cash on. You know, so, but that's all by design. Because you found it.
Let me see what AI is saying there about it.
Yeah, and even recycling places, they don't give you cash over 25. They just give you a check. You have to go through your bank.
So I have to probably rely on you to pull up some sites for whatever reason. It's not responding. And I know what it is too, because this devil, they switching everything over. Because I remember when it happened right during the time of, the Crown Royale. They switched over, what was the 5G technology they rolled out there, right? That's when they chopped up all them 5G towers, which are capable for 6G. So now these devils, they're rolling into the 6G. These devils, Revelation 12:12, it says the devils come down with great wrath, but you know if you have but a short time. So these devils know that their time is up. That's why they're doing any and everything to what? To push, push forward with the New World Order and chip the people, man. And there you go right there on the screen, right? Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil has come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
Right, because he knows that he hath but a short time. And these devils, they know that the second coming of Yahweh Shai, they know that Yahweh Shai and the angels are coming back here to liberate Israel. That's why their whole thing is about, they're trying to eliminate history and hide the fact that we are the Israelites. Because if he does that, if Esau is successful at convincing Jake that they're not the Israelites, then he can continue to rule. Right? His rulership will be extended. Because then there won't be the Great Awakening. Jake is not going to wake up. So if Jake doesn't wake up, we can't call on the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai if we're not woke.
It's true. Now he's talking just right off in the sunset, so he thinks. Nobody goes to wake up. Nobody. See, and had it not, which is the spirit of the Lord, not as blasting these devils, nobody would be paying attention to all this shit.
Nope. Nobody would be paying attention to it.
Yeah, even his
So it
own
says
people are
devils
telling on him.
having great wrath because they go yeah for a short time. So these devils, they basically running out of time, man. See, the Lord gave these devils a time where they can rule. All right. Then he also said he's going to cut that time short. Never forget that. Yahweh Shai said that. Now we know what Yahweh Shai was speaking about. Remember, he said, how he said, the prince of this world cometh will have nothing in me.
Yep.
Right? The prince of this world is the so-called white man. This is his world. This is his kingdom. That's why he can do all this fucking nasty shit. A month dedicated to all these nasty motherfuckers, man.
Matter of fact, in Canada, they just passed a law that you can't quote Bible verses in public. If you do, basically, you can be arrested.
And why is
Especially
that?
quoting Bible verses that deal with a man and a woman being together, a family being together.
Exactly.
Basically, you can't talk about the what you call it, the nuclear family, because that excludes these homosexuals and lesbians. That's not a nuclear family. That ain't even a family, because you can't. Two men can't produce children, and two women can't produce children.
And
That's not a family.
It's not. And you know what else they doing? They trying to pass laws to get rid of father and mother. The term father and mother.
Right.
You know.
And that's why it's all these homosexual terms. My partner. No, it ain't no fucking partner. It's a man and woman that's married together.
That's right. That's right.
Husband and wife. Not husband and wife and wife.
Yeah, man. Hey, so these devils, man. Hey, the scriptures tell you, Isaiah 32nd chapter, right? The instruments of the cherub. You know, matter of fact, I don't know if you pull Isaiah 32 up. When you look at that word, when you look that up, it goes into it, like how diabolical this devil is doing. So when we're up here bringing out this information, and you brothers are seeing it daily, they constantly, the scripture tell you that in Psalms 10th chapter that the wicked through his pride boasted. So these devils, they're in plain sight with it right now.
Yep.
The plans and everything that they're talking about doing. Apostle I mentioned the term. I mean, he been brought it out before. We went into it before, but he made mention of it again. The Internet of Things, or the Internet of Bodies, right? He mentioned that at the last camp with the beloved brother Arias Chaya, by his crib. Apostle Paul going into it, which is the spirit, man. Why do you think in the spirit we love talking about the mark of the beast or the MOTB? The algorithm, which at this point it is what it is, man. I'm not gonna be afraid to speak truth. Yes, we're gonna use wisdom, of course, but it is what it is. The cat been out the fucking bag. It's just that you got a lot of these people that took it back that sit there and try to take away from the prophecy. The reason why we love talking about the MOTB is because it's prophecy. It's what we're waiting for, we're looking for. All right, Yahweh Shai said in the 21st chapter, when you see these things happen, know that your salvation draweth not. So just like we're looking forward to the kingdom of heaven, well, we ain't getting into the kingdom of heaven until they come out with the chip. And the scripture said, wicked shall do wickedly. This devil got to do his thing. Well, this is like,
No, in order for the kingdom to come, that's one of the major prophecies. The MOTB and nuclear destruction. Those are two major prophecies. The end of this thing is the nuclear destruction, but the MOTB has to come, which is going to lead to the nuclear destruction. Because I think with the MOTB coming, they're going to bring more austerity, more lockdown, like what's going on in Cuba right now, which is not really being reported on the American news media as it should be. People over there are starving because of the blockade that these devils made over there with Cuba, cutting the gas off going into the country. So you got blackouts over there, people without electricity, without everything is, your water runs to your house through electricity. Before, back in the day, it wasn't like that. When they started modernizing things, they made it to where these plants are controlled with electricity, even the gas stations. At the gas pumps, they weren't electric. Then they made them not electric, so if you have no power, you can't pump the gas now.
well, wait a minute, now you start speaking about the water supply. Another thing that this devil tells you about it's a water crisis, right? A water, which the majority of this planet is made up of water. So,
That's right.
There can never be a lack of water. What it is the control of water. That's why he did that.
Yep.
So that way that they're able to control everything. See, this devil wants to control everything. In the air you breathe. And we've been telling, look, Great Millstone starting with the head of the apostles. In this day and age, we've been telling you, we've been warning you, we constantly warn you about the devil, about these things that they're doing. All right, you got all the brothers from the head apostles, man. Right? Apostle Paul, Apostle Paul, Apostle Ron, Apostle Kyle, Apostle Ron, right? You got the bishops, you got the camp leaders in Texas, Chicago, Boston, right? Atlanta, Florida, England, Hawaii. We've been warning you. The brothers that come into the fold, they standing on their watch, and we're warning you. But they still they playing games. They still think that it's a game. That's why the scriptures say the day of the Lord should come as a thief in the night. Nobody really thinks that all these things are happening to lead up into the destruction, of America. Right. Nobody's thinking these things are happening for the second coming of the Lord, Yahweh Shai. People are not thinking of these things, man. Don't you see? They're not thinking of these things. Everybody's sitting there just going into it, and really the mirth is not really there. The purpose that's on the drill is gone.
Yeah, the drill, there ain't no drill. The mirth of the land is gone.
Yep, it's all gone, and like everything else, so you can catch his video on their channel, Disappoint the Wicked. And so we're just going to get into this, right? Some articles, because you'd mentioned Cuba and what's going on there. And here's the article. Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, double honor, Zales and Apostles of Great Millstone, who are teachers of this truth and sincerity. And shout out to Yakims out there in the four corners of the earth to claim this truth. Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Brakatum. U.S. justifies sanctions against Cuba with crude lies. U.S. Secretary of State Rubio is using crude lies to justify D.C.'s continued pressure against Cuba. The island nation's foreign minister, Bruno Rodriguez Parrilla, has said following the latest round of American sanctions, the U.S. Department of State announced restrictions against Cuban state oil and gas company, CUPET. On Thursday, D.C. stepped up its pressure campaign against the island nation in a bid for regime change, where DJ Trump called in a question of time. So like everything else though, they're still pushing for regime change. And to get their regime change, of course, they're starving the people out, causing a famine right there, because everything, like you said, runs on electricity. And he's cut off all their power. They don't have any power over there to get anything. You think he ain't going to do that to those that are resistant to you-know-what? Yes, things are going to get really bad over here too. You just don't see it yet, but wait till it comes, man. The Most High had me here in Redding, California, which is a town mostly of Edomites. Yeah, I see some Latinos here. They ain't looking for this truth. But nonetheless, though, I've been here for quite some time. And the few Jakes that are here, they're not looking for this truth. They walk by. You see me on the street. I've been on lots of places here in Redding. They just kind of walk by. A couple of Edomites that asked questions and all that and wished me well, but they weren't hearing to this, They were not adhering to this. They agreed to said right on about a couple things, because of course we get into news things, but nonetheless though, still piping, man. Most High have me here in Redding, California, in the north of California, and I'm quite a few miles away from the Sacramento camp, even more further away from the San Francisco camp. So I've been teaching here for quite some time, but nonetheless though, the word has gone out. It's been here all along. We've been piping, just ain't no one been listening. Only the elect are going to listen. That's why it seems like it's small, maybe in this remote area, but yet I click on videos and there's a brother doing a video all the time. As you can see, I click on videos all the time. So this truth has gone out. There's no excuses why anybody took the mark of the beast or, believed, if you hadn't caught Apostle Tar's latest video. Now they're saying the mark of the beast is eating meat and going to war. Yeah. So, that's really a farce, man. Going to war and eating meat. Now you have the MOTB. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense now, does it? But nonetheless, though, there's a few other brothers that have broken down Apostle Tar's video as well. But it's there, man. We've been telling you what the MOTB is. That's going to be when they usher in the microchip, which is going to cause a lot of people. They're going to cause a lot of people to get it, as part of convenience, but also the only way to transact. And they so-called killed narco-terrorists, right? But the only narco-terrorist, the one that does push the drugs all around the world, has really been the United States. How hypocritical of them. But nonetheless, though, Trump eliminates Trendy Ago, leader in military strike. Leader of violent international narco gang, Trender Aga, was killed in U.S. military strike on Friday, and the so-called, role in going after narco-terrorists, which they used it as a pretext to go in and arrest, Nicolas Maduro. Leader of the violent narco gang, Trendy Aga, was killed in U.S. military strike on Friday. President Trump announced the killing of Hector Racionar Guerrero Flores, also known as Nino Guerrero, in a post on Truth Social. So here we go. We'll play some of this. So they claim that this strike here supposedly killed him. Still, shooting down boats as they usually do, right? Because he's getting ready to take over Cuba, right? And just a lot of Latin countries. Venezuela is one of the big ones that he took this year, but he's not done with that area. Trump administration has designated Trendy Guerrero as a foreign terrorist organization in January 2025. So, like everything else, though. Yeah. So this is the guy they supposedly killed. Sweden plans to lower criminal age to 14 amid rise in violent crime by children. The Swedish government announced plans to reduce the age of criminal responsibility to 14 by dropping plans to lock up violent offenders. So, you know how you get tried as an adult, usually about 18, you have an adult record. Well, they're changing the rules, right, to 14. After dropping plans to lock up violent offenders as young as 13 in special prison units. So, pretty much so, now it's 14 and under, right, where it's a permanent record. And that's because violence, right? Violence of the land, man, it's just getting worse and worse. There has been a surge in gang crime and drug-related violence in Sweden over the past 20 years, and it has one of the highest rates of shootings and bombings in Europe, dozens of which were carried out by minors. Swedish police estimate that there are 17,500 active gang members and around 50,000 who are loosely associated with them. So you got 50,000 more that's affiliated with them. The EU's law enforcement agency, Europol, launched Operation Task Force Grim in April 2025 to target the so-called violence as a service, which it said often uses young perpetrators. After the 2022 elections, Christian, the leader of the center-right moderates, formed a government that included the Christian Democrats and Liberals, but has the crucial support of the right-wing Sweden Democrats who campaign against immigration in favor of tougher criminal justice measures. So they're always going to say it's immigrants, etc. But nonetheless, though, the rise of crime. But who are they going to blame? They're going to blame you Jakes, right? You illegals, So, and like everything else, though, well, they have been killing you. If you don't already know that, yes, they've had AI technology, right? Because a lot of people were talking about magnets sticking to them after getting the you-know-what. And magnets were sticking to them because they had nanoparticles in them. Well, to explain more, obviously, she, who's with Clayton Morris, well, she goes into it with Dr. McCullough. So we'll listen to a little bit of this.
Well, the world's first AI COVID DNA vaccine was tested on humans, and researchers say it was safe and well tolerated.
Safe and
but we
effective.
learned from the COVID pandemic to ask, what does that mean exactly? The clinical trials told us that they tested this AI vaccine on 39 people. The vaccine was
it's a newer
completely
one.
formulated by AI. They said that they followed up with them for up to 6 months and they tracked adverse events. They said no serious adverse events were found, but they don't give us a list of adverse events like we normally get with clinical trials. So we just have to take their word for it that what they labeled as an adverse event was not serious. Okay. Also, according to the study, they say that the vaccine was formulated to protect against multiple members of the SARS-CoV virus, including COVID-19, or the COVID that gave us the COVID-19 pandemic, plus related bat coronaviruses and other zoonotic outbreaks that could leak into the future. So, obvious question, why are we developing vaccines for hypothetical zoonotic outbreaks? Did the AI develop or identify that threat? Or are researchers simply trying to build a broad spectrum animal? This will be for all animal outbreaks. It's kind of confusing. And finally, what is a DNA vaccine as opposed to an mRNA vaccine? In simplistic terms, and we're going to have Dr. McCullough break it down, it means that a piece of DNA or plasmid that contains genetic instructions for making the antigen is in the vaccine. So, okay, to sum up, AI is prepping to inject us with DNA for a wide variety of animal outbreaks. Great. Joining us to discuss is Dr. Peter McCullough. He was one of the early researchers on the mRNA technology and a warner, I just made up that word, someone who warned us early about the COVID-19 vaccine. So let's start with the DNA bit, I guess, and then we'll get to the AI bit. The trial does say that the DNA in the vaccines could integrate into the host genome, but the risk is extremely low. What does that mean, and how do we know what the risk is?
Yeah, very, very, very
Well, thanks
rare.
so much for having me on the program. We're talking about DNA plasmids, so little circular pieces of DNA. Now, those pieces readily get taken up into cells. The cells then assemble their own messenger RNA, and then the messenger RNA makes that segment of the spike protein. There's a 200 amino acid segment. There's about 1,200 amino acids in the spike protein of SARS-CoV-2. So they used AI to find the region that's staying stable across all the different variants of SARS-CoV-2. And the other interesting thing is they used a device called the PharmaJect device. So now this is no longer a needle, it's a gun, and it shoots the liquid into the skin, and it's supposed to stay at the dermis level, and then their dermatocytes and the satellite cells there signal plasma cells and B cells to produce the antibodies. So
See how
there's so
close
many
that looks
questions
to the
ask here.
you-know-what?
And one of them is, how can they be sure that these little pieces of DNA don't integrate into the genome? They state that there's no integrase enzyme with it. So you don't have to provide an integrase. The human cells have ways of taking DNA and putting it into the genome. And just like with the COVID vaccines, no genotoxicity studies ahead of time before they try it in humans.
So it says that the risk of the host genome of integrating that DNA is low, but they did not test that. That's not listed. So we're supposed to take their word for it?
Well, can you imagine being a subject and signing up for this?
No.
This should all be done in animals ahead of time. There's genotoxicity, teratogenicity, oncogenicity studies. This should never get into the arms of human beings, and yet some people signed up for this. This was done in the UK. And
Bet you it's a
the
jig,
antibody
too.
elevations against this conserved region of the spike protein, they happened. They measured it for about 8 weeks. Now, somebody actually got COVID during the trial, so they pulled that person out. I don't think this is going to be effective.
Americans.
So there you are, man. More and more ways, more deceivious ways, right? Because he's come down having great wrath, knowing that he had but a short time. And like everything else, so those are the things that he's scheming while telling you that there's going to be a peace plan, right? And that, America won the war, right? But if you know what's going on over there, pretty much who's retreated and who had their bases blown up right and left, who had the upper hand. World will soon hear echo of Iran's victory, and this is coming from their top general, because of course they fended off an enemy that was a lot bigger than them, right? The weak have said they're strong. This is prophecy, right? Major General Allah al-Balani made the remarks in a message to a ceremony commemorating the first anniversary of the martyrdom of General Ghulaman Rashid and his son Aman Rashid, held on Friday evening in Dezful. General Rashid was appointed commander of the Qassam al-Ninba Central Headquarters by the martyr leader of the Islamic Revolution's Ayatollah Sayyid Khamenei in 2016 and remained in that position until his martyrdom. So like everything else, I believe that's talking about the fallen ones, those that were killed by these Israeli and U.S. strikes. But nonetheless, carrying on, in his message, General Ablani, Salakia, if I'm mispronouncing the names, stated that although the martyrdom of General Rashid was a grievous loss, it once again demonstrated the deterrent power and national strength of the Islamic Republic to the world. The weak and predatory enemy imagined that by physically assassinating Iran's military masterminds, it could create a breach in Iran's defensive will, but it was unaware that the martyred Rashid left behind a legacy of knowledge, experience, and strategic thinking to guide future generations, he added. Meaning that what he knew was passed down to others that already know what he knew. The message added that currently the proud commanders of the armed forces relying on the same roadmap and intelligently managing the fight against the enemy's complex hybrid and cognitive warfare in the third sacred defense. And they did hold off. Yeah. They did hold off enemy attacks the entire time. And like everything else, while you have water shortages over there because of Esau, in particularly Trump's latest strikes, cutting off water supplies, yet they're still standing up to the bully. U.S. and Iran offer differing outlines for peace deal. Yeah, it's quite obvious that they want reparations for everything that was done to them, and pretty much a guarantee that they're not going to be attacked again. Yeah, like Trump and King Bibi are going to agree to that. On Thursday, Trump posted on Truth Social that Iran and U.S. had agreed to a final deal to end the war. Without providing details of the agreement, Iran Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said on Friday that a deal with the U.S. has never been closer. Oh, okay. So I thought he said something different. However, Tehran and D.C. have publicly offered different details for the agreement, according to Iranian media. The deal does not include any restriction on Iran's nuclear program. Tehran retains control over the strait, a ceasefire that includes Lebanon, and the unfreezing of Iranian assets. After the report, Trump claimed it was false that the terms that Iran had leaked out to the fake news have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed to. So, well, we'll just see if there really is a signing here. Iran and U.S. confirmed that they are on the cusp of a new ceasefire as they fight to frame terms. Pakistan says peace never this close as Switzerland offers host signing agreement. So, the illusion that it's over with. The signing of the MOU would trigger a 60-day period for technical negotiations according to the Trump administration. So it's an additional 60 days. So, there's that. Mother of all ifs. Trump's officials claim Iran deal delivers peace. Inspections and Hormuz reopening. Iran says indeed close. Agashi, a deal if reached will be signed remotely by both sides and then announced United Arab Emirates had agreed to release a total of $10 billion, more than $3 billion of which had been already delivered. So, seems like they're giving them some reparations, but well, hopefully they build up their defenses because we already know what the scriptures say that no ceasefire is going to hold. This war is inevitable, and there's going to be a lot more players involved. But the fact is, though, is that World War III really did start earlier this year. It's just the final blows of it. The nuclear destruction won't come until the MOTB, which is around the corner, comes out, is mandated. Mediator Pakistan expects the U.S.-Iran deal within 24 hours, so somewhere today, because that was on today is June 13th, so somewhere between, yeah. Pakistan Prime Minister Sharif said on Saturday that the final text of the agreement had been reached, marking what he described as significant. Pakistan's Prime Minister, whose government has mediated the deal between Iran and the U.S. to end the war, said on Saturday a peace deal would likely be finalized within 24 hours. So, somewhere between today and tomorrow, right? But we know that it's not going to hold. Even if it did hold for another 60 days, this war is still inevitable. And there's even more players, which include Turkey, Syria. All those areas are all going to be involved. It's going to be the Third World War. But they still have to usher in the mandates. They have to mandate this thing. And you can see all the infrastructure there. They're deliberately poisoning the food. They're putting mRNA, DNA, into the food supplies. They want you to eat, genetically modified foods, plastic, etc., nanoparticles. I mean, this devil's coming at you with everything. U.S. military forces have downed Iranian drones that were allegedly targeting the commercial shipping in the Strait. The U.S. Central Command said in the early hours of Saturday the claim comes as Tehran and D.C. are seeking to finalize a deal at ending months of tensions and hostilities. So, there's still clashes going on even in the midst of all this, right? Downing of some drones there. Iran's IRGC said it targeted U.S. aircraft base in Jordan with 12 ballistic missiles. Now, that was on June 11th. That was earlier this week. But IRGC said on Thursday that its forces targeted U.S. aircraft at Al Azraq Air Base in Jordan as part of its response to U.S. strikes across southern Iran that began on Wednesday night. So, they're starting to really hit these bigger jets like the F-35s. Iran's foreign minister details proposed memorandum with the U.S. says war would end across all fronts. Iran's foreign minister Agashi said Friday that a proposed memorandum of understanding between Iran and the U.S. would formally end the conflict across all fronts, including Lebanon, while laying the groundwork for negotiations on sanctions relief, Iran's nuclear program, and regional security arrangements. The end of the war will be declared on all fronts, including Lebanon, he said. Arghashi said the proposed memorandum includes commitments not to initiate war, threaten the use of force, or interfere in each other's internal affairs. For the first time in 47 years, the U.S. explicitly states that it respects the sovereignty of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Arghashi said. So, they have a lot of hopeful thinking here, but we know what the scriptures say, that this war will, in fact, be what ends Esau Edom and ushers in the new kingdom to come on earth as it is in heaven. That is, the new heaven and the new earth. So I'm going to get some scriptures here. So here's a guideline to know what's coming, and to just, if And I've, you know, it's coming up again, you know, just when you read all these things, you know. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1, it reads, "Now concerning how and when all this will happen," you know, and that's of course, you know, when Yahushua will return. And this is from the NLT. "Dear brothers and sisters, we don't really need to write to you, for you know quite well that day of the Lord's return will come unexpectedly like a thief in the night." So to everybody else, they're going to be caught unaware. But we won't be, because we'll be looking for these things. And we'll be diligently praying and laboring, right? When people are saying everything is peaceful and secure, then disaster will fall on them as suddenly as a pregnant woman's labor pains begin, and there will be no escape. You know, they thought that there was going to be a peace deal. They thought that, oh, okay, well, they got everything in order now. You don't have to worry about this and that. Everything's going to seem convenient, you know. But then chaos is just going to all of a sudden erupt everywhere. But you aren't in the dark about these things, dear brothers and sisters. And you won't be surprised when the day of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, comes like a thief. In other words, we'll be looking to him. We're not going to be dismayed at these UFO, aka chariot sightings, meaning that when Esau calls UFOs, we won't be so dismayed at them. But we'll be praying to Yahweh Yahushua, as you've seen already, as they've encompassed many of the camps. And, you know, I'm in the remote area of Redding. Now, my wife has seen them more than I have, but one morning I did see them. So, they are here. You know, even for somebody like me who's alone in Redding, not really alone if I have angels watching out for me, right? "For you are the children of the light and of the day. We don't belong to darkness and night. So be on your guard, not asleep like the others. Stay alert and be clear-headed," you know. And I find this here, you know, this town loaded with Edomites and just, you know, and then the 2/3 as well, you know, just totally ignorant, oblivious, have no idea about what's going to happen. You know, but when things happen, we're not the least bit surprised by them. And, you know, and like everything else, though, you know, their worlds are falling apart, and they're finding out that, you know, things ain't going according to plan, but they still have no hope. You know, they're walking around in darkness. "Night is the time when people sleep and drinkers get drunk. But let us who live in the light be clear-headed, protected by the armor of faith and love, and wearing as our helmet the confidence of our salvation." And just be confident that you keep doing the will of Yahweh Yahushua each and every day, doing a video every day, doing everything you can to make sure that you're right with Yahweh Yahushua. He's going to take care of you in that day. So hopefully this has been edifying. Got one more here before I close this out. Then I want to say Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahushua, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash, Wa Abab Abal. Brakatem Yehovah Oleg. This is from GMS Gabar Awar. You know, a shift in power is about to take place. Shalom.
All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, Ba'Hashem, Rakakwadash. I would also like to give double honors to my elders, bishops, and apostles of Great Millstone that do well. And I would like to say peace, safety, and salutations to the Lord's beloved elect, to the hopeful elect in 1/3, and Adon Ratazah. This lesson is edifying, and most importantly, exhorting to the sincere sheep of Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, Ba'Hashem, Rakakwadash. And the Wada Abanawa Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushua Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash for giving me the inspiration to do this lesson. And pretty much what I want to go into, and Adawan Ratazah titled this lesson, a major shift in power is coming. Okay, and you know, right now we are only used to what we're subjugated to, and that's the curses, that's the sinful flesh. That is also the you know, relationship that we see between us and the heathen. All right, believing that you know, started with Esau, that they were superior, and now, you know, through Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushua, Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash, fulfilling, you know, his will as it continues to be fulfilled. Ultimately, the fulfillment will be the fulfillment of the Lord's will be us in the kingdom. You know, so you got to understand, there's a major shift in power, you know, that is taking place, and ultimately, you know, the heathen are going to envy us. You know, they're going to look at us as the wise and noble nation. You know, they're gonna treat us, you know, better than how you see them serving Esau. You have to understand that, and guess what? They're gonna enjoy it too, okay? Because the scripture says in Proverbs, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And the first people that are going to rejoice is our people. All right? And then you're going to see the world truly flourish under the vibration of Yahweh Shem Shai B'Shem HaKadosh, filtered through us. Okay? Now, I am in transit right now, but I will read this verse of the day. This is John 14. John 14 and 6. It says, Yahweh Shai, all right? Ain't gonna be none of that J shit. Yahweh Shai saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So with us being given access back to the Father through the Son, it's legit. You know, it's not in question. It's not a maybe. You know, nah, this is legit, man. All right, and ultimately, what's getting ready to take place is prophecy being fulfilled in the Spirit. Now, what I mean by that is, like an individual like Captain Zariat comes to my mind, who has stated that he's in the new covenant. And my response back, though, to those statements, which he's a false prophet, because prophecy says that when we're in the new covenant, we will be sprinkled with water. You know, we'll be given a clean heart. All right, and also the fruit of the new covenant is we don't have to teach each other. All right, so that right there is a cut. But the point is that when you hear people talking about this prophecy or that prophecy, you got to ask them, has that been fulfilled in the Spirit? Meaning, you know, where do we see that in the Spirit, this fulfillment of prophecy? So you don't. So when that time period comes, the fulfillment of prophecy in the Spirit is going to be felt. Us in rulership, us having power, the heathen being under us. Esau ain't going to rise up. He ain't going to talk shit. He ain't going to be able to. He ain't going to be in the Spirit to snicker, laugh, and mock. His ass is going to be subjugated to curses, just like the other heathen. Okay, so you got to understand that with Jacob's trouble, all right, you are understanding further. Because let me say this too: a lot of Jakes be complaining about Jacob's trouble. Man, everybody is going to be experiencing Jacob's trouble though. So it's like, miss me with this. We've been suffering for. Shut up. As a matter of fact, man up. You need to accept the punishment. You need to humble your ass down, man. There's too many black people around us. All right, if you're a Hebrew Israelite, take heed, listen. Okay, we're waiting on Yahweh Shem Shai. We got to deal with this, because guess what? You ain't gonna be like, man, we've been 400 years in the kingdom. I think it's shut up. All right, you got to deal with what you got to deal with. We got eternity coming. There's a major shift in power. All right, and I put this in my notes. The future is in this book. You know, and that was a title. Sometimes I'll write down title ideas. Pretty much a you know, something that gives the catalyst to get the Spirit moving, if you will. You know, through the Lord, obviously sending it down upon us. But you know, the future's coming, man. Shit. You know, too many Jakes are just not in the right spirit, and you be giving the sacrifice of a fool on the comment board, man. You know, just listen and be appreciative. Things are happening. All right, it ain't because you did this or you did that. It's all through the will of the Lord, man. You know, just like somebody be like, this is on my dime. You know, I paid for this. So we got to wait for who paid for it. You know, we've been invited to Yahweh Shai's wedding, man. Too many Israelites are worried about their own dang wedding or what for them. What about Yahweh Shai? There's a great shift in power that's getting ready to take place, and you need to embrace that. Too many Jakes are trying to, fulfill the will of the Lord. You gotta sit back and watch everything happen through the Spirit. Now I'm just curious to see what the verse of the day is for the blue letter. I like looking up the verses of the day. Look at that. Psalms 91. Do you understand the condition this current captivity is going to have to be in for Psalms 91 to reach its fulfillment? Psalms 91:1. He that dwelleth in the secret place. And that's another thing. We are going to be the most desired man very soon. Men, excuse me. We're going to be the most desired men. All right? And for the women out there, you should take honor that other women want us. Okay? That jealousy demon, you need to fast that shit away. And you know you need to start by fasting? Start by fasting your mouth. Stop talking. Matter of fact, stop thinking. Just sit there and relax. Okay? Because Yahweh Shem Shai is about to make major moves for the Israelite man. Psalms 91:1, he that dwelleth in the secret place. We're in the secret place. This is the truth is out in the open, but it's still a secret. Colossians 1 has been hidden. Okay? So even our own family, this is hidden from them, and I'll say even for those that know the severity of it. So what the Lord is about to do is he's about to magnify his word, and he's going to do it through his prophets. All right? So a major shift is going to take place. It's going to cut fucking, what's that weird Jake? He's probably Edomite, Tyson Grassy, always talking about fucking rain on Mars. Listen, the Lord is about to cut all these fables, all these phonies, all this weird talk, all right? All this pride, all this bravado. Yahweh Shema Shai is about to shut the creature's mouth, man. Everybody's about to get shut the fuck up. A major shift is coming, man. A major power shift. Enemy's gonna be at peace with us. We're gonna be in awe. You brothers, you're gonna be in awe seeing a fine-ass Moabite woman bowing to you. You know? And someone that got a demon on him. Yeah, bitch, I'm speaking about realistic things that are gonna happen on the same planet that we're in captivity in. Under the same sun that we're in captivity in is gonna be under the same sun we're ruling a kingdom in. Creation. You know? So brothers, you gotta look past this bullshit right now. All right, the Lord is. You're gonna be surprised even when you see Edomites being at peace with you. You know, you're gonna be surprised seeing the creation. All right, because the scriptures talk about Deuteronomy, how the Lord is gonna put the dread on the nations, and that's been real heavy on my spirit lately. In Deuteronomy, the 2nd chapter, man, the Lord is about to put dread upon these nations, and they're gonna fear us. We're gonna be in awe, watching the shift take place, watching the enemy go down. That's why it says, I count these things joy in my heart. Excuse me, Psalms. We're gonna be amazed seeing the chariots, as they would say, your guardian angels. And brothers, when you think about the chariots, you need to remember how the angel looked at the Redskins game. The angel at the Redskins and Cowboys game. You need to think about how the angels look down, on this earth. Don't stop trying to find love from this current world. You can't. Find love in the scriptures. Find love in the brotherhood. Find love through Yahweh Shema Shai. Find love and seeing prophecy. So when you see them chariots, you gotta envision how the angel looked at the Cowboys and Redskins game. How the angel looked behind the beloved elders and brothers out there in L.A. No pun intended. In Los Angeles, right? So you gotta start meditating on the things above. We're in a secret place, and this secret, the Lord is about to bust wide open over these people's heads, man. Look at that. A red Range Rover, and the license plate says 144. So the body Yahweh Shema Shai. That's how you see the Lord speaking. The Lord is about to start speaking plainly to you, man. And then the Lord is showing favor unto us. We've been just so beat. You got a spirit. You got to watch that spiritual flinching. And I'm speaking to myself first. Just, you gotta get used to the blessings. Not just the curses. Okay. Now let me read this. This is Psalms 91:1. Let me just actually pull over here. Okay. Because they want to be wise for me to be driving and not paying attention to the road. All right. So yeah, man, we just in beautiful times. We're literally watching Isaiah 26, watching and waiting for the Lord's judgment, and that's when you'll see righteousness in the earth. Okay, these people need ass whoopings. It's just created this way. All right, women need to be corrected. They're just created this way. Okay, and you women out there, you better listen. I need a humble woman to admit she's done. Okay, can you help me with all that pride? Fuck out of here. Let me pull over right here, right quick. This is Psalms 91. The body Yahweh Shema Shai. Gotta stop and get some herbs for my body, man. Brothers, take care of the body the best way you can. You sisters too. Psalms 91:1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Okay, now that's the chariots are coming. Okay, this place is not ready for what the Lord is about to do. And let me also add this point in as well. These people are about to get mad and envious at the Lord blessing us. Here it is, this place. Here it is, we're cursed to go to his punk ass for the one of all things, and he makes it a hard time. So now we don't got to go stay upon him that smote us, and we going directly to the Lord through the Son, and he's going to be mad because we found out about what the Lord given us, and then he's going to get real mad when he sees the Lord give it to us. Man, F these people, brothers. Brothers, you got to understand, your spiritual importance, okay? But guys down here in this earth, they've missed the mark. So now they just walk around proud and literally full of shit, Diet all messed up, but you got views and you're going on podcasting, so you think you somebody. Fuck this world, bro. This world, we ain't looking to be accepted by this gay-ass world.